Hello, I'm Derek Terry, host of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying. Here at one of my favorite spots, the barbershop, where we know if you're gonna complain here, then you better provide solutions.
Good.
It's good. I firmly believe when we make other people's problems part of our conversations without providing solutions or prayer, then we become part of the problem. I want to be able to provide people with a platform where they can freely express their views on such topics as education, social issues, health and fitness. Now that's good. Or sports. So please join me so we can complain and provide solutions together. Hey, what's going on, peeps? This is your man, Derek Terry, host of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying. Where you're going to complain, let's bring some solutions to the table. All right, so welcome to another episode of what I'm calling the my voter education series, where my focus will be on Charles County Board of Education and Charles County Commissioner candidates, regardless of their political ideologies or political affiliations. My guest today is Richard Wallace, and he's running for Charles County Board of Education District 3. Before I bring him on, I want to go over a few things. I will be asking all candidates about their platform. I will ask questions related to Charles County Public Schools for myself and the public. I will be respectful. My opinions are my opinions, not those of my guest or anyone else. At the end of this episode, I will highlight some Charles County businesses and or nonprofits, and I will always agree to disagree. So with that, we're gonna bring in Richard Wallace, who is running for Charles County Board of Education District 3. Welcome, Richard. Welcome, Richard. I'm calling Richard because I know him, but so welcome, Richard.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Thanks.
And you know, for those who don't know, he's out in Cali, so I definitely appreciate him doing this interview on the West Coast time. About what, 12 p.m. or something like 12:30.
Oh, yeah, I'm actually sleepy right now, you know, but just to speak with you again, it's always inspiration. So yes, I'm here.
Okay, so and before we start, because what I didn't do, well, actually, before I get to that, tell us about Richard Wallace, not the candidate, but just yourself.
Right. Well, to be brief, you know, originally I'm from Jamaica. I was born in Jamaica, left Jamaica back in 1983, moved to New York City, lived in the Bronx. Went to high school, Samuel Gompers High School in the Bronx, and shortly after that, I joined the Navy, and my career in giving back to the community started. And got out of the Navy, and you know, I pursued my master's degree, and my wife and I have 2 kids, and they are both Charles County products. They both went through North Point High School, and my son is currently in the Army. He got commissioned last year, and my daughter worked for
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, but I have one problem with that, though. You know, I'm Navy and he's Army, so once a year, there's a disagreement.
Yeah, I'm Army / Air Force, but I'm
all right,
for Army. So, whoop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But that's just a nutshell. Thanks.
Okay. So, for those who don't know, Richard and I met back, I believe it was 2013, when I ran for Board of Education. And one of the things that I enjoy about the campaign trail, whether win or lose, is the opportunity to meet new people, to listen to new ideas, to agree and disagree. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's hard to believe that literally it's been 9 years.
Yes, time flies by.
Time flies, you know. I'm a little grayer, you're a little grayer. But
and I'm going to say we're much wiser too.
Yeah, much wiser. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. But what I wanted to show people real quick is, okay. Give me a second. Wanted to give people an opportunity to look at your platform, and this is how they can reach you if they have any questions or concerns or anything like that. And I will bring this up again, at the end if they want to get the information down, but give them a couple minutes. But what we're going to be doing is pretty much going through your platform. But before we get that, it takes a village. That's your slogan. Explain that. I know what it means, but what does it mean in regards to this campaign? It takes a village.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. As I said before, I'm from Jamaica. I grew up in a small village, and everyone took care of everyone. It doesn't matter if it's your kid or not. You had a certain community that you grew up in, and there were mentorship, there were guidance that was provided from the community. And as it pertains to this platform, I've seen some challenges, heard some challenges from parents, what their concerns are. And it all comes down to, I would say, three things: parents' involvement, teachers' involvement, and the community, a large involvement. For a kid to be successful, I think we need all three of those things working together. Parents setting the expectations, demanding more from the teachers to make sure the teachers maintain or exceed those expectations, and the community, which is you and I, our church, our community at large, having programs available for kids to learn, constant learning, because there's so much things to learn. So it needs everyone's involvement, including the politicians, the commissioners to the senators. We need everyone to make sure that the funding is provided, et cetera. The resources that are needed by the schools are provided. So it takes a village. It's not one person to have all the answers. It's a community working together.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree. And it's kind of the premise of my show. I'm complaining. I'm just saying, but at the same time, bring some solutions to the table. And either you're part of the solution or you're part of the problem. And for me, I get sick and tired of people complaining. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I said, what's your solution? Well, it's not for me. Or
exactly.
I'm moving or whatever it may be, but you have no solution. So, I definitely, love your concept. So we're going to stop sharing this. We're going to get straight into your platform. And the first thing you have on there is expanding career and technology education throughout the county and partnering with small businesses. So for those that don't know, that's a sort of acronym. We use CTE, I'm sorry. So according to Charles County, and this is their website, I actually went on their website, their CTA education website, North Point High School has 24 CTE programs or things that they offer outside the academic core, compared to an average of 10 for the remaining Charles County high schools. When I look at this, it doesn't seem equitable to me. So can you explain how you would like to expand the CTE program throughout the county?
As you said earlier, 9 years ago, you and I ran on the school board. And for the most part, the agenda has not changed. It's about sharing the wealth. So if you think about North Point, and we're using them as the model, right, of the county when it comes to high school. That wealth has now been shared across the county for all students that are there. So how do we expand it? Well, I would say we partner with CSM, because CSM has almost identical same programs that what North Point has. So let's find a way to partner with CSM to make sure kids can, have like a dual enrollment strategy to where they could go to school, maybe half day or certain days off, and they go to CSM to take technical training. And because the goal here is we're trying to get our kids, whether they choose to go on to a 4-year college or not, because of the society we live in, we can have a variety of ways to be successful. So a kid could leave high school and they're certified in, whatever program they choose to, and they could get out, start making $50,000 a year. I mean, just right out of high school, because they have that certification. So not everyone is going to take the path of going towards a college immediately, but everyone have a goal and aspiration. And if you train them and you give them the opportunity, they can leave high school with a certification. And that's what I'm pushing for.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I know one of the things we had talked about years ago is how I'm called archaic Charles County was, because a lot of school districts have been doing this for years. Baltimore County, where I worked, Hartford County, City, there's a lot of school districts in Maryland that's been doing this, and for whatever reason, Well, I will say that there was a strained relationship between Charles County Public Schools and CSM. Don't know why. Maybe it has to do with FTEs or whatever. I don't know. But
Mhm.
I see they're making some strides, but that's definitely something that I encourage. Now, you had mentioned small businesses. So when you talk about the partnership, what types of small businesses would you like Charles County Public Schools to partner with, and why?
Okay, let's use an example. Let's say you have a child who, or a student who, hey, you know what, I'd love to go into the healthcare industry. I like go maybe be in the automotive industry. Whatever that program that they would like to pursue, well, we could reach out to some of the small business in our neighborhood and just find out, okay, hey, can we establish some kind of agreement, some kind of a platform to where we can start training young minds early? So it might be a small computer company. It doesn't matter. It's all about reaching out into the community that has some of those platforms already established and just say, okay, how do we partner together? And it's a win-win for everyone, for the parents, the students, the school system, and the community. So if you develop these programs, the kids will stay right in our county and make our county grow. So I was, it's like an individual basis, but it's like what their career path is. If they want to be be a nurse's aide, for example, well, the hospitals, there's a number of different healthcare providers in our area where we could kind of work with.
And I think as it stands, North Point is the only high school, I think, that has a program that deals with that.
Right. You have North Point, and you have Stedham, which, if I'm not mistaken, most of what North Point has was taken from them and brought over to North Point to establish. But I think Stedham High School would be another way. How do we utilize the resources that they have to expand those seats? But I think the opportunity is there. Now the question is the will there for us as a board coming together and saying we're going to take those steps.
Yeah.
And then also we will also need parents on our side to say, hey, call the board members, hey, demand more of the board and so forth. And so I think it's going to take a collective approach, but I think it's doable.
Okay. And you're only one person, one out of, I guess, 10 or 9 now. I can't remember. But so you definitely, if elected, you'd be one of that one vote, and hopefully and that's why you have these conversations. Your next platform issue, expanding mentorship within the middle school and high schools. Kind of explain to us, like, I know it goes on, but what is the, I guess, the pressing issue that you may have or that you want to look to improve or expand?
Well, you know what? Professionally, let me start from that point. Professionally, in my career, when I had a mentor, it saved me a lot of time. It saved me a lot of time to trying things, and there's, sometimes a mentor comes into your life and allow you to kind of think outside the box. And, try to see what I could be, and hey, is that possible? And the mentor will say, yes, you can. So the mentor is an encourager, right? And so that's where I see, if you partner with mentors, let's say you bring a doctor to speak to a classroom, and a child says, wow, I could actually speak to a doctor. Doctor, how did you, get you where you are right now? So I think mentorship is a way for students to kind of aspire to reach higher goals in their life. And sometimes they may not necessarily have those aspirations, but when they see and touch those professionals that they encounter with, it changed their lives. So I think strongly that the kids need to be aware of the possibilities that they could dream and accomplish great things. And you're going to need a mentor to kind of help you along that line.
Now, I will say that mentorship is nothing new to Charles County. As a member of the Divine Nine, or the historically Black-led Greek organizations, we, as well as countless other organizations, we have provided some level of mentorship to middle and high schools. What I found out is that the issue doesn't necessarily, I guess, focus primarily on the school system. A lot of times it's on the parents willing to sign their kids up for it. And then also having trained personnel that know how to deal with kids in mentorship. And then the other thing you have to look at is, okay, if they're coming during school hours, do they have the flexibility in their job? if they come after school, can they get there in time because, you know, they're commuting, so we know how our traffic is. I think that, and then the other part is commitment and consistency. You know,
Well,
especially with kids.
you're touching a lot of great points, and that's why I go back to there's going to have to be some tough decisions, some tough conversations being held back to the village. We're going to ask parents to be more involved. We're going to ask the school and the teachers to be more involved. And then, you know, just like you have sports team, right? And they have these after school buses, right? And I think at some point they may have taken it away, but
Yeah,
that's another avenue we could use. So how can we utilize the school buses, you know, after school buses to help these kids get to where they need to get to? So maybe, okay, school ends, let's say, I don't know, let's say it's at 2:30, 3 o'clock, right? And that child might have a debate class or something like that. Okay, but there's an after-school program out there that they could get to, but they don't have the means of getting there. Well, that's when those buses come into view. Take those kids to those places, and then mom and dad picks those kids up after the program is over with. So it's going to take a collective approach. But I think definitely the mentorship program is something that we cannot, you know, overlook. We need that, and not every child has a mentor. And I think sometimes if we incorporate that into their lives, they can achieve a lot of things. I strongly believe so.
You know, the busing situation, that's a conversation for another day. But we know because of COVID, we had some COVID and labor disputes, whatever it may be. We had some serious issues when it comes to busing. So, you know, if those activity buses were to come back, I know when they went away, it was about $200,000, and that's about how much it cost. But what I didn't like is they didn't give the parents an option, meaning that, hey, if you want to pay $5 or whatever just to offset the cost, rather it's cut it all together. But like I said, that's a different conversation for a different day.
Right. Yeah. But real quickly though, I've come across countless parents that states that sometimes the schools or the board make decisions and they weren't part of the discussion.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm going back to, in order for us to have a strong school system, we need to have our parents voicing their concerns and not just, you know, saying it once and walk away, but it has to be holding people accountable. So if I'm elected, hey, Richard, you stood for these things, I need for you to make sure that you're voicing my concerns. I agree, but I'm also going to ask you to be the voice for me too in spreading the word, right, to get more people involved.
Okay. All right. So your next platform topic is you know, closing the learning gap. We know, and data supports it, whether it's quantitative or quantitative, that there's a significant learning gap amongst Black students of color versus white, as well as our special needs. And don't get me wrong, it's not to say that white students don't have a learning gap neither. We're talking about systemically, the learning gap is there based on numbers. So how do you propose that we close this learning gap?
You know, it's going to take some, I would say, internal assessment, right? Where everyone can look and say, well, where do we need to go? You know, the learning gap, COVID alone, if we even look at this COVID and the impact of, you know, COVID and kids not falling through the cracks because of not having the technology they needed and so forth. Do we go look at maybe extending, you know, mandating summer schools, for example? You know, we're going to have to find a way to collectively and look at some of these topics that has not been really wanted to talk about for a while. But I think expanding, you know, summer school may be one option, you know, or having, you know, kids, you know, staying after school, just kind of catch up on some extra work. So an organized way, of course, not just make it as an option, but, you know, hey, you know what, after school care we provided for, maybe an extra hour or so where teachers or certified professionals are there to train our kids or mentor our kids, help them to catch up on their homework, where they're lacking and so forth. But it's going to take something where we work together with the teachers and see how we could make sure that the learning gap is getting closed, because it's something that we can do. Again, it goes back to a will. Are we willing to do and take these steps? And again, after school, we could do something like this after school, you know, but of course, I know we'll have to find a way to, okay, make sure we are compensating the teachers for their time that they're putting in. But it's something that we can do. And it's just going to take the will of our community, teachers, parents, board members, administrators, everyone coming on board and making sure that we're closing this. We have no choice, but because if not, we're going to have kids that are left behind. And it's best for us to invest now in our kids on the front end. So I think it's not an option. We have to do this.
Okay, so with this particular election, everything is district centered. So I live in District 3, you're running for District 3, and we understand that every district, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school, has specific needs and challenges that are solely based on that district. So you had mentioned increased school safety. What are some, why do you feel well, look at it like this. What things are driving the need to increase school safety within District 3?
You know, that's a great question. And as you'll hear different pundits speak about these things. But I think we blame, or we are saying some of these things are COVID related, right? So the last 2 years, a lot of our kids were locked up. So the social connection there wasn't there for them to kind of have that conversation with each other, the classroom, the students and teachers and so forth. So now they're back within a huge group, and that 2 year has really had an impact of them having the socializing skills. So I think, you know, a safe environment is going to require, I would say, a partnership with mental health providers being there, right? Partner with other educators and maybe a trained team of folks in the schools that are taught how to de-escalate things and not always choosing the aggressive side. So we're going to have a trained professional team in our schools to say, hey, let's identify those kids that might be having, you know, showing some signs of you know, aggression, for example, and then maybe try and kind of pull them aside and kind of say, hey, what's going on? What's the real concerns that you have? So it's going to take some collaboration between the schools and the parents and I would say professionals like, you know, mental health providers and so forth, and counselors to kind of come up with a plan that we could make sure that our kids are not falling through the cracks. So that's kind of how I would like to take a look at that. But we know that we have to address these causes. We see fights and different things on YouTube constantly from different schools, and we have to find a way to address that.
Okay, so sort of like a follow-up on the increased school safety. We know from a nationwide view that policing, especially within the schools, has been an issue. Now, personally, this is my opinion, that issue has not rise to the level that you see in a lot of other cities and states, whatever, where we have this issue in Charles County. And to me, it's almost like people want to create something that's not there. And when we talk, and some people right now, whether they're running for another political office, are campaigning on removing SROs. Honestly, I'm for SROs because as a former educator in Charles County, whatever, I haven't seen the things, not to say they don't exist, but I have not seen it ever rise to the level to where we should get rid of SROs. So I'm just curious, because this may be brought back up. What is your take on SROs?
Well, I'm going to be very honest. And I promise District 3 folks that I will be very honest. I'm not going to beat around the bush. You need a combination of security or safety officers, whatever we want to call them. We could call them trained safety officers. We could call them whatever we want to call the group. But we need to have security in our schools. Our schools need to be safe for both our students and our teachers, and also the administrators. I've heard countless complaints from teachers that they're getting punched in the face or broken arms or, you know, whatever, trying to break fights up. I've seen kids going home injured because from other kids. So I think we need to have a trained staff that can identify and practice de-escalation techniques in our schools. But it's not going to be just, you know, the RSOs to me is not the main concern. but there needs to be a mix of combined professional training folks inside there. Now, we don't want RSOs that goes in and then, always aggressive, right? We want someone who's trained, have a balanced approach, and there might be time when he or she may have to be aggressive, but that should be the first step. So we need a collective approach where we have the professional trained people, including RSOs, mental health providers, counselors, involved in how to address these things.
Okay. Yeah, and I agree. And I do know that the Sheriff's Department, in conjunction with, I think, the Maryland Department of Education, has these types of trainings for SROs. And to tell you the truth, sometimes it's more intense than what teachers would get.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to, the next, your next platform issue, increasing pay. And I'm assuming increasing pay in order to retain or recruit teachers. And for me, it's going to require one of the following or a combination of both, because you're talking about increasing money. You have to either increase the school budget, which I might add, they've done it every year, and they get the largest amount of money for, or increase or propose new taxes to pay for the increased school budget, which most likely would have to happen. Cost of living here is higher, in some cases higher than Prince George's for a teacher, depending on where you live at.
Okay.
And even Calvert County or St. Mary's, or they may have to cut some positions or reallocate those monies to teacher salaries. But my question to you is, if we're going to increase the salaries, do you think that that's going to solve our problems with teachers actually coming here?
Well, I think it's
keeping teachers as well.
I think, again, it's going to be a collaboration, right? Going back to my platform itself, I must say this, support the Maryland blueprint. There's a lot of good things inside there that I believe will assist us in doing that. It talks about the next 5 years, I think 2019 to 2024, there's gonna be like a 10% increase for teachers' pay. With the goal of, let's say 2026, that teachers will make about $60,000. Teachers are underappreciated. They're just seen as a body, and folks don't realize that they hold the future of our kids in their hands. So we have to reward them. The county, the DMV area is not the easiest place to live. It's very expensive. So we have to find a cost balance to where we at least incentivize teachers to stay in the classrooms and stay in our county. But at the same time, we have to also train our teachers, right, to be in a diverse manner, to where they understand that not every child in their classroom is the same, and it's not equal. So some child might have different, educational levels. So we have to kind of train them to identify some of those kids who might be high achievers, and then those who might need some help to be pulled up a little. So we're going to demand more for our teachers, but at the same time, I think we should make sure that they are compensated properly, because there's no need for teachers to be having a part-time job and so forth, because they need to still pay their rent, and the salary that they get from teacher, their schools is not paying that, and because we're demanding a lot for our teachers, and I support that, and I think we should look at all venues available to make sure that we have a good platform, a good benefit package that will attract teachers and teachers from outside and within. But preferably if they're local teachers, yeah, we need to do that. There's no need around. There's no beating around the bush here. We have to.
Okay. Yeah, and I also want to add, outside of teachers, we also need to make sure that we're compensating our instructional assistants, our staff, anybody who's working for the school system, because everybody, to some degree, goes over and beyond. And I know as a former educator, I'm just speaking for me, I didn't leave because of pay. I left because of the systemic issues that were going on that just simply were not being addressed. And I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. Didn't have nothing to do with the students, had to more or less do with adults. The board not listening, or somebody, or maybe the superintendent or whatever, principal, somebody just wasn't listening, in my opinion, to the concerns of the teachers. So that'll be very interesting as we get into teachers' pay and we start dealing with the budget. So I guess my either next or last question, or second to last question, CRT. And for those that don't know what that is, critical race theory. First, let me tell you, it's not a program, it's not a class, it's a thought. And basically, it's never been taught, or that concept has never been taught in all the years that I've been a teacher or as a history teacher, but we do teach the facts. Meaning that if you're going to talk about Andrew Jackson, talk about the good and bad. Native Americans, they can relate to what I'm talking about. If you're going to talk about East Germany, talk about the good and bad. Jewish people will understand what I'm talking about. And if you're going to talk about, say, Jefferson Davis Highway, or Woodrow Wilson, whoever, talk about the good and bad. African Americans will know what I'm talking about. So I don't want to go into great detail, but what I tell parents, either they're going to learn the facts through school or they're going to learn them out there on the street. Remember we had that conversation about sex ed. Well, I don't want my child to learn sex ed. Well, you're not going to teach your child sex ed? Nope. Then what do you expect them to learn? They're either going to learn in school or they're going to learn on the street. And learn on the street, sometimes you can get the wrong information. So what's your take on that real quick? And then we'll wrap up.
Well, you know what, CTE, I think we need to look at what we're afraid of. I think we need to make sure that when we teach history, we realize history is a mirror, a lot of ways, of what really took place in the past. And we're studying history, so we do not repeat those same mistakes. And sometimes it's not going to be beautiful. It can be ugly at times. It's like being in a war. It's going to be ugly at times, but it doesn't mean we can't learn from it. You know, as a prior military member, the government and the military is always assessing what took place, what went wrong, so we can avoid it next time. I think we need to teach history as open and transparent as possible. I learned so many things. It's kind of funny that you talk about history. Maybe last year, I guess, and I was speaking to a neighbor of mine, and she was seeing some of the things that was taking place on the news about Black folks and so forth, and Tulsa. And she said, Richard, and this is a grown woman, she's about in her 60s, and she said, you know what? I did not know about Tulsa. But I said to her, well, you know, a lot of people of my ethnic background knew about Tulsa. So what happened there? Was it not in the history book? Was it not being taught? What took place?
No history books of mine. I knew about it. No history books of mine.
Yeah. So I think we should focus on history and allow our kids to expand their minds, because our kids are very smart. And you know, this is a time for us to kind of teach history so folks can be a bit more enlightened, right? And we're not making ignorant decisions as we go into adulthood. And so there's no need for us to be afraid of, you know, these CRT, because I just think that we need to make sure that we're teaching a history that is very diverse. You know, you think about the accomplishments of Blacks and building, let's say, the White House or the Capitol and so forth. We've contributed so much to this nation that, but it's not being taught. I remember when I was in high school, I think the book was like Martin Luther King was a civil rights leader. It was very surface. And so I just moved on from there. But the thing is, I had a parent that pushed history and taught me my history, my background. So I had two forces, the American history coming to me and the Jamaican history coming in at the same time. And then you saw putting the pieces together, and you saw how we're all connected, and the fight continues. But we have to teach history as transparent as we can. And it's not to point out anyone as being bad or good. It's just saying, hey, this is what we have gone through. America's a great country, but she has made some mistakes. And so we're just talking about those things, right? So it's just to make us even better. So I just think that we need to address those things openly and not be afraid of the backlashes, because folks are doing things for division and so forth. And we don't want that in our schools. I think our schools should be, as nonpartisan, and the classes being taught as being as enriching as possible, and making sure our kids are enlightened as possible when they go into the future.
Like I always say, why are you afraid of facts? Don't be afraid of facts. That's why they're there. So I want to thank you again, Richard, for taking time out of your busy schedule. Like I said, I know you're in Cali. to share your platform, but to also talk about some things in regard to your platform as well as some other issues. For those out there that are watching, once again, this is his information. So if you have any questions, concerns, anything, you can get in contact with him. There's his phone number. He has a Facebook page, and you can definitely educate yourself on his platform, as I encourage everyone to educate themselves on every candidate's platform. And, you know, I wish you well in your campaign, and, you know, I definitely wish you good luck.
Well, thank you very much. It's going to be. I encourage the challenge. I encourage the members who are running the exchange of ideas. But I'm in this race not for Richard. I am 53 years old. I am not in high school, not going back to middle school and so forth, right? But I encourage everyone to make sure that, keep in mind, why are we running? We are running, at least I'm running, for the students, for a greater future of Charles County. And if I'm hoping that we can make a difference and make Charles County school system one of the best in the country. And that will impact everyone, you know, increase property value, increase folks coming to our county. One more thing, when as a prior military member, we've moved about 8 or 10 times. And one of the first things my wife and I would do before we moved was look and see what was the ratings, or how was the high schools or the schools valued. That was one of the key factors for us to move to a area. How are the schools rated? So if we are able to make sure we come together, and Charles County, if you give me a chance to be join the board, I'll be fighting for some of these issues to make sure we have strong school system and a more enlightened student body, you know, because they're going to be our future generation that takes care of us in their hospitals or wherever they might choose to be with their career. So thank you again for just this opportunity for being here. Looking forward to the race and, you know, exchanging ideas. And then let the county, the voters of District 3 decides.
All right, so once again, I want to thank Richard Wallace for taking the opportunity to share his platform, not only to me, but to countless residents out there, specifically in District 3, but as well as Charles County, for why you should select him, or elect him, I'm sorry, as the next Charles County Board of Education District 3 board member. So definitely want to thank him again. Like I had said at the beginning, one of the things that I try to do is highlight a business, Charles County business, or a nonprofit. So today's nonprofit that I'm going to highlight is right here. And this is called Youth Empower Me Foundation. And just to give you a little background of what they do, they have health and wellness professionals, educators, counselors, psychologists, financial planners, so forth. And it's all about committing to empowering, enhancing, and restoring families. The founder, go right here, is Olivia Coffey, and the website is youthempowerme.org, and you can definitely go on there to hear her story. That's actually her son interviewing her, and you can really get a gist of what the program offers. But this is just one of many programs in Charles County that are there to not only empower our youth, but to help our youth. And right here, they're doing a fundraiser, Top Golf. It's going to be at National Harbor in Prince George's County. We're near the National Harbor. And if you want to participate, there's a barcode there, but you can also go to youthempowerme.org. And with the event, you get 3 hours of play, fajita fiesta buffet, bottomless soda, I guess that means unlimited soda, and iced tea, reserve bags, raffle drawing, signing, auction, virtual vendors. So I plan on being out there. Hopefully I'll be able to play, depending on my shoulder, but it's on Cinco de Mayo. So it's on March 5th. So if you don't have anything to do, be happy. Doug will be more than happy to have you come out there. And if you can't come and you want to donate, you can go to their website and they have a donate page. So I just want to put that out there. Olivia doing great things, just like everybody else in the county, with these organizations that are there to help out our community as a whole. And I definitely appreciate that. So as I close out, I just want to tell everybody that I sent out emails to all the registered Charles County Board candidates, as well as to commissioners. Everyone hasn't accepted. Some people have declined, didn't say why, but it is what it is. And if there's a candidate out there that wants to reconsider or did not receive the invite, please let me know. In addition, none of my guests, and in this case, the candidates, they don't pay a fee, nor do the business or nonprofits. This is my way of giving back. So you get back the way you want to give back. This is how I give back. And regardless of the political affiliation, each candidate be ready to bring some solutions to the table. I'm not here to say got you, anything like that. It's just a platform for you to provide some solutions. So you can catch me on, you can catch any previous episodes of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying on YouTube or Facebook. But until the next episode, please remember, it costs nothing to be kind but time. Peace and blessings.
Blaze the path.